Hey there, Mr. Terry, high school history teacher. Welcome back to another History Teacher Acts video. And this one was recommended to me over at the Discord server. It's called, Why Are the British So Eccentric in War? Now, I don't know what they're going to mean by eccentric, because I feel like with the British, that could go a lot of different ways. But we'll see what they got. All right, original video is linked down below. Make sure you check that out. By the way, if you like simple history, I think you might like the content that I'm producing on my new original channel. It's got fun topics, kind of like this, and also some very thought-provoking stuff. The channel's called Mr. Terry Originals. I'll link that down below too. All right, let's check this out. All right, so does eccentric in this case mean you've got like a tank for your tea and pastries?
Why are Brits so eccentric in war? War, it's supposed to be grim,
Right.
disciplined, and deadly serious.
Sure.
But leave it to the British to bring a bit of oddball charm to the battlefield. Whether it's making tea under fire, charging tanks with umbrellas, or playing the bagpipes in a POW camp, British troops have long blended courage with eccentricity in ways that often leave the rest of the world baffled.
Oddball charm seems like the perfect way to describe the British with all the characters we've learned about history.
Courage with eccentricity
All right, the German guys,
in ways that often
frightening.
leave the rest of the world baffled. These quirks weren't just for show. They were sometimes bizarre, sometimes brilliant, and always unmistakably British. Tea time waits for no one.
Yeah. Gotta have
Perhaps
tea
the
time.
most famous British idiosyncrasy was the national obsession with tea. Conflict, destruction, or imminent death, none of it would come between a Brit and a good cuppa.
And sorry, British fans of the channel, we in America, we can't drink tea. I mean, we were dumping it in the harbor, the American Revolution. Like, it's ingrained in us. We can't do it. It would be almost disrespectful to consume tea here in the United States.
Destruction or imminent death, none of it would come between a Brit and a good cuppa. During the Blitz, as German bombs rained down on London, mobile tea vans were dispatched to the ruins. They weren't armed, they didn't carry medical supplies, they carried kettles and tea. Firefighters, rescue workers, and ambulance crews all could expect a steaming mug waiting for them as soon as the flames were under control.
Okay, I thought that, okay, so you saw that lady like get blown up or whatever. I thought they were just gonna be like, ah, she's dead. Well, don't worry about the ambulance. Let's just get the tea to the survivors.
This tradition followed British soldiers to the front lines. Mobile canteens were sent into combat zones solely to keep morale high through the simple act of serving tea.
Sure.
When these weren't available, troops improvised. Kettles were jerry-rigged, stoves assembled from scrap, and in the middle of a firefight, you might find a Tommy crouched behind cover, calmly boiling water.
Sure. You know what? When I think about it, it is actually like a good thing because, you know, their lives are obviously so rocked and they're so anxious. And in a war where war is hell, it's probably nice to have even the tiniest bit of comforts that you enjoyed at home, a little bit of normalcy. I feel like that does actually have some like value to maybe help calm you in some way. So I think I'm going to let this one slide.
One such moment of devotion ended in disaster. In 1944, near the French town of Villiers-Bocage,
Okay.
British tank crews paused to brew tea, only to be ambushed and destroyed by a single Tiger tank.
Okay,
that distraction proved fatal.
Okay, that's obviously where it's not okay. Okay, we don't have to go to that level. Y'all don't have to go to that level of normalcy and whatever. You do it at the safe time. Obviously, priority one is survival. And you're out there brewing stuff that could probably see and smell, you know, from a long distance away. Okay, survival has to take precedent over tea. If I see this happen again, though, then I'm really going to be criticizing y'all Brits.
Lesson learned. To prevent future casualties over tea, the British Army took action. Since then, their tanks have come equipped with internal boiling vessels, ensuring that a hot drink is always just a flick of a switch away.
You know how, if you guys watched my last Fat Electrician reaction, talking about like retaliation, kind of like ping pong, how there's a story, Audie Murphy, his crew got these Germans to surrender in World War II, but it was actually a trap and they ended up just killing the Americans. And it was, you know, just so egregious that like the next time something like this happens, they just, you know, kill all the Germans. I feel like this would be like the equal retaliation moment. Like you Germans, you killed Brits during tea time. and then just go and slaughter the next group that they find.
To this day, British tank crews can make a brew without exposing themselves to enemy fire. Absolute madmen, Jack Churchill and the Sword of War. When you hear about a man going into World War II armed with a long bow and a broadsword, you'd be forgiven for thinking it's a myth. But John Malcolm Fleming Churchill, Mad Jack to both his friend and foes, was very real. A professional soldier and champion archer. Churchill believed, as he put it, quote, "Any officer who goes into action without his sword is improperly dressed," end quote. He wasn't joking. During the retreat from France in 1940, Churchill and his men encountered a German patrol. With perfect composure, he took aim with his longbow and felled a German sergeant.
I want to know, though, is he just really good at bow, or for some reason just really, really bad at guns?
The only confirmed kill with a bow and arrow in the entire war. Later in Norway, he led charges armed with a claymore. On one occasion, he and a single comrade infiltrated a German position using stealth and steel. He approached their post in the dead of night and threatened them with his sword. 42 soldiers surrendered to the madman with the blade. When eventually wounded in Italy...
I mean, I'm not going to lie. I got some crazy dude that brought a sword, and he's got me hostage with that sword. I think I'm going to be like extra scared of that guy.
42 soldiers surrendered to the madman with the blade. When eventually wounded in Italy, Churchill, bleeding but unperturbed, calmly pulled out his bagpipes and played a Scottish tune until the Germans arrived. He was sent to a concentration camp. He escaped, captured again, escaped again, and when the war finally ended, he was reportedly disappointed, stating, quote, "If it wasn't for those damn Yanks, we could have kept the war going for another 10 years.
The dude loved war. Okay, yeah, literally a mad lad. Okay, I don't know how many of those you can have in your army before it actually becomes like counterproductive.
Mad Jack may have loved the sound of his bagpipes, but sometimes you need to hear the world around you while
they're
still
loud,
keeping your own soundtrack.
They're
That's
super
where today's
loud.
sponsor, Raycon, comes in. Raycon's essential
way worse
open
than giving
earbuds
yourself
are designed
away
to
from
keep your ears open while still delivering
making
crystal
tea.
clear sound. The open ear design means you can stay aware of what's happening around you, whether it's traffic, coworkers, or the distant rumble of artillery, without giving up your music or podcast quality.
What would y'all be listening to during war?
I use them on the battlefield. They're
What would be your
comfortable, they
war
don't weigh me down,
playlist?
and the open design means I can still hear the orders being shouted around me while tuning into the soundtrack that keeps me focused. And with 36 hours of battery life between the earbuds and the case, they'll last you through long campaigns. Raycon quality rivals the big premium audio brands, but at half the price. So if you want comfort, awareness, and great audio all in one, click the link in the description or go to buyraycon.com/simplehistoryopen to get 20% off site-wide.
Always need good
That's
quality.
buyraycon.com/simplehistoryopen. Brought to you by Raycon.
They've been around a long time now.
The Umbrella Commando.
All right.
If Churchill was a throwback to medieval warfare, then Major Alison Digby Tatham Warder was Victorian eccentricity in combat boots.
I was going to say, like, you know, I guess if you had some guy crazy enough to do this, you get one of these umbrellas that you spin, it could make like a really dizzying, like hypnotic pattern, and just use it as like a decoy. And he's running out there spinning it, and then you flank the enemy from the side. Okay, that's how you use an umbrella in war.
Serving in the 1st Airborne Division during Operation Market Garden, he gained notoriety not just for courage, but for doing everything slightly oddly. Anticipating communication breakdowns, he ordered his men to learn bugle calls instead of relying on radios. He frequently forgot passwords at checkpoints, so he carried a large umbrella, reasoning, it would be quite obvious to anyone that the bloody fool carrying the umbrella could only be an Englishman.
That's fair.
It worked.
That's
in
fair.
one engagement under heavy German fire, he calmly walked through the chaos to rescue the battalion chaplain. "Don't worry about the bullets, I've got an umbrella," he reassured him. Later in an...
Oh man, did they make bulletproof umbrellas? It'd be like an amazing shield and keep you dry. Lockheed Martin or somebody, like, get on that. Give me some royalties though.
Italian chaplain. "Don't worry about the bullets, I've got an umbrella," he reassured him. Later, in an iconic moment of absurdity, Tatham Warder led a charge against German tanks, armed with nothing but a pistol and the same umbrella.
Okay, please, I hope he wore the hat too. What do they call those, like bowler caps?
charge against German tanks, armed with nothing but a pistol and the same umbrella. Wearing a bowler hat for good measure, he thrust the umbrella into the vision slit of an armored car, injuring the driver and disabling the vehicle. Let it be.
I was hoping that he stuck it in and then like opened it from on the inside. Dude, that's crazy.
Slit of an armored car, injuring the driver and disabling the vehicle. Let it be recorded, a British officer once took out an armored car with rain gear.
That's so
the Chindits,
good.
oddballs behind enemy lines.
Okay, who are these guys?
While eccentricity makes for great stories, sometimes it's a prerequisite for survival. In Japanese-occupied Burma, the jungle proved just as dangerous as the enemy. Conventional tactics failed.
Would you be that
Enter
guy?
Brigadier Ord Wingate and Mad Mike Calvert, the two unorthodox commanders with an even more unorthodox plan to create long-range air-supplied commando units that would harass Japanese forces far behind enemy lines. Their recruits were a special breed. Men who were either incredibly brave or slightly unhinged. One was a demolition expert from the Black Watch, another a Rhodesian hangman. One reportedly ate cigarettes rather than smoked them.
Rhodesia, British colony in Africa.
Rhodesian hangman. One reportedly ate cigarettes rather than smoked them. Observers referred to them as odds and sods, including several lunatics and deserters.
Okay, like, I get that the certain eccentricity could be useful in a soldier, but like the guy that's eating cigarettes, I want nowhere near me as somebody I'm going to have to depend my life on.
They were known as the Chindits, a corrupted pronunciation of the Burmese word for lion. Operating in brutal conditions, they built strongholds deep in enemy territory and launched constant raids. When ammunition ran low, they fought hand-to-hand. Stories abound of Japanese troops being killed with rifle butts, helmets, or captured swords. One sergeant is said to have wrestled a katana from a Japanese officer and used it to kill him. Calvert himself once drowned an enemy soldier with his bare hands. The Chindits earned 4 Victoria Crosses, dozens of Distinguished Service Orders, and hundreds of individual decorations. They were feral, fearless, and effective.
Was proven
Proof
wrong.
that in certain wars, sanity is optional. Weaponized humor, trolling the Third Reich.
Okay.
British humor is infamous, dry, ironic, and often absurd. And yeah, they used it against the Nazis. At some point during the war, the Germans constructed an elaborate fake airfield, complete with wooden hangars, oil tanks, and even mock aircraft.
Sorry. Fake war materials. Dude, the United States had that on lock. Y'all heard that? I've covered it a couple different times with different channels. You remember the inflatable army? Patton's inflatable army? Those things were so good and looked so realistic. If you haven't heard that story, check that out.
Ironic and often absurd. And yeah, they used it against the Nazis. At some point during the war, the Germans constructed an elaborate fake airfield, complete with wooden hangars, oil tanks, and even mock aircraft.
Now you guys understand, it's just, you try to make it like realistic. Like the ones Americans made were realistic. They were made by like prop companies that made Hollywood movies. And the idea is just for reconnaissance when the enemy is, you know, taking pictures and they're doing it from a long ways away. It's hard to tell how realistic stuff is. So, you know, it's obviously not meant to actually function. It's just to give, you know, fake news out.
Was an obvious decoy designed to trick the Allies into wasting bombs on worthless targets. The British knew it was fake almost immediately, but rather than destroy it, they let the Germans keep building. Once the ruse was complete, an RAF bomber flew over and dropped a single bomb. Wooden, of course. Painted on the sides were the words, "Wood for wood." Whether this tale is entirely true is debatable. Some historians argue it's apocryphal. But eyewitnesses, RAF veterans, and even Luftwaffe personnel have insisted it did happen.
Doesn't that sound like that is the most hilarious thing that could exist in like British culture?
And frankly, even if it didn't, it should have. Because dropping a fake bomb on a fake airfield is exactly the kind of psychological warfare only the British would consider worth the fuel. Still singing as the ship sinks.
Oh.
This blend of absurdity and defiance didn't end with World War II. In 1982, during the Falklands War, the Royal Navy's HMS Sheffield was struck by an Exocet missile.
Okay, please don't tell me they were going down with the ship and they're singing, glory, glory, man united.
The ship burned and began to sink. Her crew stood on deck, awaiting evacuation. The situation was grim. Smoke thick, water's cold, lives at risk. What did the sailors do? They broke into song. Not just any song, but Monty Python's Always Look on the Bright Side of Life. The irony was sharp, the morale unshaken.
Wow.
The story was taken on board, literally, as the crew of the HMS Coventry also sang the tune when their ship was hit and went down. Apparently, it was a moment that perfectly captured the British wartime spirit.
Dude, the Brits love Monty Python. That's like the GOAT for them.
Gallows humor wrapped in stoic composure. Conclusion, madness as a method.
Yeah.
From swords and umbrellas to teacups and wooden bombs, British eccentricity in wartime wasn't mere showmanship. It was an identity, a national trait weaponized into morale, mischief, and mayhem. When faced with overwhelming odds, some armies double down on discipline. The British? They'll make tea, charge tanks with walking sticks, and whistle a tune as the bombs fall. And somehow, against all reason, it often works. Because when war turns the world upside down, a little madness might be the sanest thing of all.
Final thoughts. All right, so was this stuff just cope under a stressful situation, or is it just something just totally ingrained into British culture that even the craziness of war couldn't even get it out of their system? I'm not so sure. All my Brits out there, go ahead and let me know about this. All right, again, if you like fun content like this too, again, check out my new originals channel, Mr. Terry Originals, link down below. We'll see y'all next time. Bye.